Warning, this video will contain spoilers for The Last of Us Part 2. If you have not experienced this game for yourself, please proceed at your own risk. Let's get started. The combat in The Last of Us Part 2 was undoubtedly my favorite mechanic in the new game. The controls are tight, responsive, and make you feel good when you accomplish something cool. Fighting in each environment is made fluid and stylish. You're given a plethora of weapons and items that you can use to initiate combat in any way you want to. Sneak through the surroundings and pick off the opposition one by one, or literally yeet explosives into a crowd and take out the stragglers with a full-on frontal assault. The choice is yours. That alone shows how flexible and entertaining this game's combat mechanics are. It can accommodate everyone's personal playstyle, yet still deliver a seamless and harrowing gameplay experience. One of the ways that Naughty Dog does this is through the cinematic fighting sequences. At certain points in the story, there are moments when you are met with a particularly tough opponent. There is no way of escape, and you are forced to do what anyone put in that situation would do: survive.
Oh, there we go, baby.
These scenes are often the most violent and hardest to stomach. The fascinating thing about them, though, is that they are used as a storytelling device. In certain moments, the player is overwhelmed by the abundance of brutality. This is when players will connect with the characters in the most distinct way. As the player sinks into the myriad of violence surrounding them, the experience is a direct reflection of exactly what the characters are feeling in that very moment. Through staggering hordes of enemies to particularly tough opponents, the characters, and by extension the players, are overwhelmed. This is due to the fact that every instance of combat is handcrafted. A lot of games will have open areas where enemies just flood in and swarm the character, leaving the player to fight their way out. By its nature of being a stealth survival game, The Last of Us Part 2 doesn't do that, except in very specific circumstances, like the chase scene early on with Abby.
Okay, well, I made a mistake. All right, boys. Oh my gosh, dude, this is insane. Oh, this is bad. Yeah, if I get touched, I'm dead, dude.
These are rare and are usually executed for a specific effect. Normally, the game leads the player into specific settings where it then introduces enemies for the player to deal with. Let's examine the most open world section of the game, downtown Seattle. This area is massive, but doesn't contain a single enemy roaming around that you can encounter. You have to either go to the bank, the dome, or the courthouse to initiate a combat scenario. Playing through the first time, I thought this was unique. Exploring a rundown city with no one in sight gave me an eerie feeling. And it wasn't until after I completed the entire area that I realized there were no enemies out in the open. They were all hidden expertly inside unique scenarios. The Last of Us Part 2 typically oscillates between sections of exploration and sections of combat. This is easily illustrated by the fact that the game has every scenario mapped out, and you can replay each specific encounter from the main menu. This allows the creators to do a few things. First, the more you play the game, the more clearly you can differentiate when these sections are happening. This conditions the player to feel at peace in the times of exploration and on edge during the sections with enemies around. That allows Naughty Dog to work their magic and take players by surprise in certain pivotal moments, and it is some of these moments that I find the most enjoyable. One basic example of this is the stalker enemies who are still encased in the cordyceps fungal infections found all over the walls. You've cleared out all the known enemies, but there are still these stalkers who lie in wait, ready to jump out and attack you. Son. I thought this was a great enemy addition, although it can be very annoying. Next is the first moment that you encounter the Seraphites. You're climbing through the underbrush and hear a strident whistle ring out, and the next thing you know, Ellie takes an arrow in the shoulder from some unknown assailant, and all of the other zealots mobilize to hunt her down. This moment was a great transition from exploration to combat initiation. Finally, one of my favorite moments. There is a room that you encounter with a locked door in it during your explorations. Thinking that there's probably a key or a special way to get into the room somewhere else in the apartment, you continue exploring. At the back end of the apartment, you find a workbench. You drop your stuff off and begin to work on upgrading one of your weapons. In the background, you hear a noise, footsteps thudding closer, and someone rushes you and grabs you from behind.
Oh, freak! Scared the crap out of me.
After breaking free, you realize that there are more enemies who are now occupying the apartment and blocking your way of escape. Only once you kill them do you find out that they were the survivors you had read notes about, and they were the ones locked in the room you couldn't access earlier. This whole instance was really well done in my opinion, and brings me to my third point. It is through these actions of brutal survival that the developers put the player into the scenarios that the characters find themselves in. If you want to survive and live to see another day, you have to kill anyone who threatens you. This provokes a very visceral reaction to the violence that the players experience, and helps to illustrate the merciless way of life in which the world is enveloped.
Gangster mode.
Especially in the cutscene scenarios, players are made directly responsible for the actions of the characters, and thereby directly responsible for their survival. We can experience exactly what that looks and feels like. The violence in the game is elevated to more than just shock value. It becomes a storytelling mechanic. In conclusion, The Last of Us Part 2 is a very violent video game. This brutality helps to re-centralize the game's main theme, that violence begets violence. The entire story is kicked off because of Joel's violent actions in the first game, and it begins a cycle that is very difficult to stop. However, it also reiterates the fact that we, as players, are in control. We don't have to push square to murder. We can choose another path, and thereby end the cycle.
She's pregnant. Good. Abby.
Thanks for watching, everyone. If you'd like to see more videos like this one, please subscribe. If you'd like to help my channel grow, consider sharing this video with a friend if you think they would enjoy it. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next video.